Omari Ishmael Granberry, born November 12, 1984. Today's feature is a guy that was on fire in the early 2000s and showed the potential to be the next male act in R&B. It began with his participation in the group B2K as their lead singer and face, in the same role my most recent feature, Marcus Houston, played in Immature before going solo. And no, contrary to the era's rumor, the two aren't biologically related. But they did share many of the same experiences, from being child stars under the same manager and founder in Chris Stokes, and both were tasked to be the lead man in an ultra-popular group. B2K, in fact, were pinned as the new rendition of IMX, and Omarion was unspokenly supposed to be the upgraded version of Houston. He could sing, dance, write, and act as well, and at the time, all roads seemed to point to him being the 2000s version of an R&B superstar. Looking back, did he fall below those expectations? There's an argument to justify saying that he did, as he never went platinum as a solo artist, even though understanding not every artist goes platinum. But as far as potential, many saw him being an artist that could sell to the masses. He was also set to own or at least have his time where he was the it guy in R&B, having his very own era he can lean on and say I was the number one guy, and that didn't happen. It's one of the ways R&B is different than rap per se, is not many people are blessed with a singing voice or have had the opportunity to learn at a young age how to sing, so when you see a successful singer at the level Omarion was, they each had an era where you knew for those years he or she was that guy. Prince had his, Michael Jackson, Usher, Neo, Trey Songz, Chris Brown, all the way back to Marvin Gaye, Keith Sweat, Luther Vandross, and the list goes on. Dare I say, even R. Kelly. When Omarion finally made the decision to leave B2K, many expected him to finally blow up to a level in sales and accolades that matched the sold-out arenas, the girls losing their minds everywhere, and the demand he once had with B2K, with him as the face. Say what you want about B2K, but they released 2 studio albums in 1 year, and one went gold, then platinum, not to mention they had a Christmas release that year as well. It didn't last, but for a short time B2K were the it group, and Omarion was expected whenever he went solo to be even bigger than that. Was he a disappointment in the end? No, not at all. He has 7 solo albums, 2 of which went gold. His first 2 albums were number 1 in the country, and he has an extensive film and television catalog. But you can not be disappointing and still have not grown into your potential. For these reasons, Omarion's growth was stunted and he didn't have the career expected. Salute to J Smooth on IG for this request. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Omarion is a singer, songwriter, dancer, and actor from Inglewood, California that started off as a backup dancer for the girl group Before Dark, and before that would perform in local talent shows and small commercials here and there. He decided he wanted to follow the path of singer and dancer and make that into a career. He was discovered locally by manager Chris Stokes, who asked him to join a group he had called B2K that featured 3 other singers already, but none with frontman qualities like in Omarion. He joined the group and almost immediately they blew up as the new it boy band behind singles Gots to Be, and Why I Love You, leading to 2 successful albums in 1 year in 2002. But the very next year, while on tour, the group would disband because of issues with Chris Stokes, Omarion being the only that stayed under Stokes to pursue his solo career. By 2005, he had the number 1 album in the country, his debut O, that went gold, followed in 2006 by 21 that was also a number 1 album but didn't have the same goal success. Stunt number 1, doing an album with Bow Wow. As petty and insignificant as this may sound, when Omarion did the Face Off album with Bow Wow, he lost a lot of credibility in that time. Credibility he was just starting to build up, coming off his latest solo album 21. That was not just a very personal album for Omarion, but it was also a very grown album that was finally allowing him to shed his kiddie pop boy band reputation and move into a target age market of females that actually had the means to go out and support you, not the screaming adolescent little girls that couldn't even afford an Omarion poster on their walls, or if they could, they had to ask their parents to do it for them. As a child star, this transition is the most difficult thing to do. Ask Bow Wow. But Omarion was finally being seen in a different light, and from a person who was around in those times and well aware and following the music industry, I can remember a lot of people having an issue with him doing that album with Bow Wow. At the time, Bow was receiving a lot of negative press for his breakup with singer Ciara and was having a major issue finding a way to make his child star to adult star transition because many thought the older Bow Wow was corny and none of his raps were written by him or true. Bow Wow was, as they say, beginning to fall off in the people's eyes, and Omarion was just starting to ascend, coming off now back-to-back #1 albums and hits like Oh, Touch, and Icebox. His future was bright, but then he flew in and saved Bow Wow's career and took on the same kiddie, corny, childish image and stigma Bow Wow had on him and was trying to shed. Things were never the same. Face Off did go gold, but after that, it's like Omarion wasn't taken seriously anymore and missed his small window to blow into a solo superstar by trying to bring Bow Wow back up with him. Maybe they were trying to do the Jay-Z R. Kelly best of both worlds thing, but it backfired tremendously for Omarion. Bow got to steal his light, but Omarion left with Bow's unpopular stigma. Stunt number 2, other acts took his spot. While Omarion was playing King of R&B meets King of Rap with Bow Wow, other acts were up and coming with major steam and fresh talent behind them, namely Chris Brown. Omarion and another Stunted Growth feature, Mario, share this same growth stunt. When Chris came on the scene, actually the same year Omarion dropped his solo album, Oh in February 2005, and Chris November that year, he took a lot of whoever's spot the it act in R&B was supposed to be at that time. Only person safe was Usher, and that's because Usher was the era before Brown, and Usher's singing, dancing, mixed with his catalog was ironclad and here to stay regardless of who came along. But for everyone else not named Usher, Chris Brown was a factor in how their careers went in that time. He was much more appealing and marketable when he came out, in that the ladies deemed him that because he was taller, light-skinned, danced better, sang better, and was an amazing performer. Chris, believe it or not, had a Michael Jackson trajectory before the Rihanna debacle, so no matter who you were, Chris was running the stage at that point, going multi-platinum left and right. Then you had Neo, who made beautiful music for himself and others, Trey Songz, who had the sex appeal like a new R. Kelly, and between them three, Omarion couldn't find his space in that era. Stunt number 3, too much time in between. Maybe not lastly, but another major growth stunt for Omarion was the space and time it took for him to release solo albums and also more hit records. When he was releasing music and hits at a faster pace, he was having #1 albums and his career was on the incline. Albums back-to-back in 2005 and 2006. But then it took another 4 years before his fans got another solo Omarion album, which he wouldn't release until 2010. That's the beginning of an entirely new decade and era. The fans of your music can grow so much in 4 years. Not only grow, but without you around, they also move on to other artists without you there to give them what they first needed from you years ago. Another 4 years rolled on past before another Omarion solo album, and the pattern continued on his next 2 releases, which by that time, his popularity and potential had long been past. Going back to the Bow Wow album, that was when he should have came with his own solo album and followed that with an album each year. I understand contractually and business behind the scene wise, that may have been easier said than done, but it no question hurt his trajectory. All in all, like I said, Omarion wasn't a disappointment. I get some may say he's corny or didn't have the it factor as a solo artist, but I think he did have that, and corny maybe, but I still blame Bow Wow for a lot of that. Not to mention him signing with Maybach Music also hurt, but in the end, mainly for these reasons, his growth was stunted. Salute, much respect, it's your boy JC Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.